changes your relationship with society, with each other.
While the medical community has yet to classify social media as addictive like alcohol or gambling, one recent study found that participants who appeared to use social media most compulsively showed changes in the part of the brain that controls impulse.
Turn it off. That's what I would say. It's hard for young people now because they're addicted. If you don't think you're addicted, and I'm talking about anyone, from the highest to the lowest, if you don't think you're addicted, then see if you can turn it off for a week. You got quiet in here, didn't it? Didn't it get real quiet? It's a tool. So we should use it. God has blessed us with free will.
They're gonna come at him
now it's free will magnified, free will on steroids. You're free to go in any direction you want. It will allow you, and it's not the enemy. It's just it's just a reflection of our own free will, you know, and we all want to be liked.
And the thing is, it's really deep because these people that created these things are occultists.
Yeah.
All right. And what I said in the previous lecture before, a lot of people don't realize when you look at the logo for the Apple computer, what is it?
It's an apple with a bite out of it.
It's the apple with a bite taken out of it, right? So it goes back to the story of Adam and Eve, okay? And the thing is that in the tree of knowledge, okay? Because if you think about it, you got access to everything on this phone, on this internet, okay? The first Apple computer that went on sale was $666.66. And a lot of people don't know that.
There ain't no coincidence.
Right. We're not making the connections. This system, people think they understand this system, but they don't. I've been studying this system for over 20 years, and every day I find out something new about it.
Yes.
Okay? So, you know, Shaitan has done an excellent job creating this system and manipulating men to create this system because this is his system. Okay?
Now we want to be liked by 16 million. And will now some of us do anything to be liked?
And the thing is, when you look on YouTube, when you look on the internet, you see people doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And this is what he's saying. They're doing anything to be liked. Okay? To get that attention, you know, that people are missing in their lives.
Anything to be liked, but it was by the person in front of you. Now it's to be liked by 16 million people that you don't know. We have to ask ourselves, what is the long-term, if not the short-term effect of too much information?
People like to share. After all, we are social animals. But somehow the age of social media has got us sharing more and more, no matter how uninteresting it might be. Even though we know every post gives marketers more and more information about us. So, why do we do it? And could we stop ourselves even if we try?
We have created tools that are ripping apart the social fabric of how society works. That is truly where we are. And I would encourage all of you, as the future leaders of the world, to really internalize how important this is. If you feed the beast, that beast will destroy you. If you push back on it, we have a chance to control it and rein it in. And it is a point in time where people need to hard break from some of these tools and the things that you rely on. The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth, and it's not an American problem. This is not about Russian ads. This is a global problem.
And when he says global problem, and it makes me think about a video I saw when they talked about China, okay? And he had these addicts in China, all right? They had a guy, he's addicted to going to the game cafes, all right? They have these game cafes where they can go in and they can play all the different games. This man was going to that cafe every day, neglecting his child. Come to find out, the child died in the house because of neglect. And they caught him on video with the child in the duffel bag, taking the child out of the house. But this is how bad some of these people are getting addicted to this stuff. Okay?
Now,
Wherever we go, we're inevitably.
when you were
Go ahead,
saying,
bro.
I'm sorry. When you were saying that, what was he being addicted to? You just
Video games. They have in China. They have these video game cafes, and they can go in there and they can play these games. And I mean, they play it all day. Some of the it's funny because in the documentary they said that some of the people were putting on Pampers, so they wouldn't have to go to the bathroom. They sit there and just go to the bathroom on themselves.
Bad addiction.
Yeah, bad. Okay. And the thing is that they keep talking about this dopamine hit, and that's just a chemical that the brain releases, for pleasure.
Yes.
Okay.
Fellow citizens staring into their phones, as we usually are too. So the goal is to keep us on our devices longer. Why?
For any company whose business model is advertising or engagement-based advertising, meaning they care about the amount of time someone spends on the product, they make more money the more time people spend. So the game becomes, how can I throw different persuasive techniques to get people to stay, to spend as long as possible, and to come back tomorrow.
Today we live in a world now where it is easy to confuse truth and popularity. And you can use money to amplify whatever you believe and get people to believe that what is popular is now truthful and what is not popular may not be truthful. And the reality is now I can take money and I can use that through all of these social media systems that exist to hundreds of millions of people, and I can convince all of Joe's friends and everybody like him of my opinion in very subtle and small ways. And he can do the same to me. We can do that about vaccines. We can do that about gay rights. We can do that about bathroom laws. We can do that about Roy Moore. And so I think the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we live in a world where this is not possible?
So how do we prevent social media from not being a delivery system for fake news? Because Hillary Clinton was out talking about this week. She said the other side was using content that was just flat out false and delivering it in a very personalized way.
Yeah.
If you look at Facebook, the vast majority of the news items posted were fake. What do we do about this?
Well, I mean, so the thing is, there's this myth that technology is neutral, that it's up to us to choose how we use it, therefore these platforms are not responsible. It is not true. Because
not true,
because
right?
These companies, not because they're evil, but they need to get as much attention as possible.
They're evil.
So if something that is sensational, they have to show you the sensational thing that gets more attention than if they showed you complex things that got less attention. They have to, and anybody who runs a website or knows this.
What all of these systems do, every single one, is it exploits our own natural tendencies in human beings to get and want feedback. And that feedback, chemically speaking, is the release of dopamine in your brain. And so what these feedback loops do, and they exist everywhere, in Call of Duty, in other video games, in social networking sites, they get you to react. And I think that if you get...
What's the big one they're hooked on now? The kids are hooked on now.
playing games.
Which game, though?
It's a few of them.
Yeah, but it's one that's like it's more popular than anything right now in the gaming world. It's Fortnite.
Fortnite, yeah.
Fortnite.
I never heard of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me either. What is that?
The kid,
Fortnite,
yeah, go ahead, bro.
Basically, it's a free-for-all game. It's a free-for-all game, and basically you build. It's shoot to kill. So free-for-all, shoot to kill. Whoever makes it out, whoever gets to the last one standing.
Yeah, exactly.
Last one standing.
Like you going, it's groups. You got teams, and basically y'all picking each other off.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But it's
Okay.
super popular. All the kids are talking about it, even down to the kindergartners. Okay,
That's all they play.
and it's all they play.
Right.
And they'll sit there and watch videos of other people playing. Okay, is that yeah?
So I have a question real fast.
Go ahead.
So he was saying that basically, how how internet is neutral. That's not true. So what about how people use it? As it's the saying that how revolution will be televised. Y'all heard that before.
Right.
But in previous talks I had with friends, we were saying how revolution would be on the internet. So that, I don't know if you ever heard that or ever thought about that, how things will change through the internet. So it's like
exposure, yeah.
Exposure. So how I think about it, I feel where he's coming from, and I do. But with that input in, like, we have the power to change, build ourselves, change our communities, change the world around us through the internet. I believe that, because I see a lot of stuff, that happens through the internet, that we control. So I don't know. I guess it's like a split feeling with that.
Yeah, well, it's
double-edged sword.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it
Right.
is in the fact that when you think about it, I mean, basically, you control how you use the internet.
Yes.
Okay, but they control the internet. Okay, so if they want to manipulate situations, manipulate people, they can.
And I agree with that.
Okay, because they can set it up where if you do a search, right? But they can set it up where if you do a search, certain things will come up, and whatever you're looking for might be hundreds of pages, below that.
Yeah.
But they can do these things.
Yeah.
Okay, so they manipulate us. Okay, just like they said, it's programming. Okay, just like television is programming. It shapes our behaviors. It controls our perception. Okay, and the whole thing is when they control your perception, they got you. Especially when they control your perception of yourself. All right, and we're going to just peek at that a little bit.
So what's the key to it so they can't control what? Get rid of it, right?
That would be it.
Seriously, we really need to get rid of it.
You're absolutely.
If you think about what years ago, we didn't have these issues.
Exactly.
We landline regular things, okay, regular TV. Okay,
Exactly.
now all of a sudden they want to change it. And I'm gonna say this, okay, I truly believe things are the way they are because we don't fight for nothing.
You're absolutely right.
With the foods that we choose to eat make you lazy and trifling, and you sit back and the mindset make you think that, oh, they got our back. We don't even have our own family back, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right? So we need to get rid of the cell phones and internet and all that.
See, the thing is, the key to this is, what does Allah tell us? Allah tells us to live righteously. That's the most important thing. If we follow Islam and we follow Allah's commandments, that protects us from a lot of these things that they're dealing with. But the thing is that there's a biblical verse. It says, envy not the oppressor and follow none of his ways. Right? But what have we done? We're following everything.
But what we supposed to.
Right, but we're following behind the oppressor.
Yeah.
Our ancestors were born here as slaves, right? And they were oppressed by them. But now we're following all of the oppressor's ways. We fell into the abortions and all of this stuff, into the research that goes into these GMO foods and all of this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's very heavy, but I'm going to try to move this through real quick so we can get to talking about division, okay? But check this out. All right, let me see.
Sensitize, and you need it over and over and over again, then you become actually detached from the world in which you live.
You become callous, you become crude.
And you live in front of your screen.
Come here.
Now, the sister, you said something that was very, very important. You said something very important when you said, we got to just get rid of it. But the thing is that people are addicted to it.
Oh, I'm going exactly.
They're addicted to it.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
And just like you said with the phones. Say, oh yeah, get rid of my phone. But then they push the thing, oh yeah, well what if something happens to your child or this or that. Well, what did we do before?
What did we do back in the day?
We lived without them before.
Exactly.
We had landlines.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
We had landlines.
Exactly.
But it's like you said, it's the mindset. There's only a few of us that will have discipline that we can just toss and get rid of certain things.
Right. Exactly. Okay. But now, I should have left that in, but let's do this. All right. So the main topic for tonight was division, or is division a weapon of the system? All right? And basically, this is what's going on. These people manipulate us and they divide us. Okay? What exactly is division? The act of dividing, or a state of being divided. The act of sharing out or distribution. Something that divides or keeps apart, such as a boundary. One of the parts, groups, etc., into which something is divided. All right? Now, these are the three main topics that they tell you that you're not supposed to discuss ever.
Oh, wow.
Right? They tell you not to discuss politics, right? Politics, race, and religion.
I think you can put sports up there now.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
But now, the thing is that the more and more we don't talk about these things, the more and more we stay divided. Because the only way that you start to understand each other is through discussion, through talking about these things, all right? But now, I put this here because when I saw this picture, it kind of grabbed my attention a little bit. But you can see they got you sitting in the middle, and you got the Democrats and the Republicans and the Democrats. And behind your back, they're holding hands.
Mm-hmm.
They're in it together. And that's the true reality of things.
Yep.
See, people think they've fallen for the illusion that the Democrats and the Republicans are against each other. And they're not. They're working
together
to accomplish to accomplish their goals. Okay? And it doesn't matter who you have in that office, they're going to do what they want to do. Okay? But now, let's look and see what the Quran tells us. All right. This is chapter 3, verse 103. And hold fast altogether by the rope which Allah stretches out for you, and be not divided among yourselves. And remember with gratitude Allah's favor on you. For ye were enemies, and he joined your hearts in love, so that by his grace ye became brethren. And ye were on the brink of the pit of fire, and he saved you from it. Thus doth Allah make his signs clear to you, that ye may be guided. Allah has always pushed for us to come together and not to be divided. Okay? And the thing is that, think about how this world is divided. Race, religion, politics. They have our women against our men, light skin against dark skin, all kinds of things that they use to divide us, to keep us apart. Okay? Now, I wanted to say something about something else, but I'll come back to that, all right? And it says, and among his signs is the creation of the heavens and the earth, and the variations in your languages and your colors. Verily in that are signs for those who know. All right? So Allah lets us know this thing is not about black and white. It's not about color. It's about righteousness. Righteousness. Okay? But now, in our discussion about division, this is the first thing that we're going to cover. We're going to cover racism. Okay? So let's go back here. And I want to show you a couple of things. And the racism thing is a big thing that they're pushing right now.
It's me, it's Mark, it's the, Kevin Systrom at Instagram, it's all of these people.
You don't know how long it's going to take. It's between two.
Now, how many of you have seen the movie The Godfather? All right. So now, this is a scene from The Godfather. And this is the meeting of the 5 families. Okay? But now watch this.
I also don't believe in drugs. For years, I paid my people extra.
Now they're sitting around the table and they're talking about drugs. Okay? And listen to what they say.
That kind of business. Somebody comes to them and says, I have powders. If you put up $3,000, $4,000 investment, we can make $50,000 distributing. So they can't resist. I want to control it as a business, to keep it respectable. I don't want it near schools. I don't want it sold to children. That's an infamia. In my city, we would keep the traffic in the dark, people, the colored. They're animals anyway, so let them lose their souls.
So, you heard them say, the dark people, we'll put it in their environment. Because they're animals. You know, they're animals anyway, so let them lose their soul. This is a major motion picture that won awards, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
But look how it backfired.
Right. But yeah, I mean, it backfired, but it did what they wanted it to do. Because if you look in our environments, the drugs are destroying, especially when they introduce the crack in. Okay? But the thing is that these people, they set up our environments to destroy us and our children. You know? And, you know, let's go to this next thing. All right? Now, and what I'm just showing you is just some of the blatant racism that we see, okay? Now, this is during Hurricane Katrina, and this is Wolf Blitzer, all right? Speaking on the live broadcast. Listen to what he says.
Every time you see these poor individuals, as Jack Cafferty just pointed out so tragically, so many of these people, almost all of them that we see, are so poor and they are so black, and this is going to raise lots of questions for people who are watching this story unfold.
Now, did you hear what the man said? He said they're so poor and they're so black. I mean, what kind of stuff is this? All right, so.
I think his point was that it's a conscious point. He's saying that people are going to see the United States as equating neglect and poverty to blackness, and this looks bad for us. I think that was his point.
Yeah, but
what's the world going to say to this?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because your way that you just said it, but I also think that he has.
I think it was an insult, as such, but he's pointing out that the tie is there, and it's been there for generations, and people know it.
Most definitely. All right, but now got another one. All right, this was.
But there are some young African American.
Now, this was when Gabby Douglas. Remember her? When she won. Remember she won the. You're right. Now, this is the commercial that they showed right after she won. Okay, right after she won.
Girls out there who tonight are saying to themselves, "Hey, I'd like to try that too." More from London in a moment.
His entire life has been leading to this moment. All the hard work, the dedication, just to answer the call of victory.
And that was right after she won. The commercial they put on right after she won. Okay? So it's blatant. Okay?
That's NBC's logo down there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But now,
there are some young African American girls out there tonight are saying to themselves, "Hey, I'd like to try that too." Some young African American girls.
Tricky with these small buttons. Okay, but now. Alaikum salam, good brother. Now this is an international commercial. Okay? starving child. And my thing is, how do they get away with this? Right. We allow them to do anything with our image. Okay. We don't really have any real pushback in terms of what they do with our image.
Second. After you're done with your, we do the prayer before, the chairs, the tables out there in that corridor right there, these chairs probably have to be brought out there. So if all these brothers here, then we got
that's
the
fine.
muscle, we got the army, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, that's fine. All right. But now, let's see. Now, ask you this quick question. What is this on for? What is this? But the question is, how many people have seen this show before?
I never saw it.
Never saw it before. Yes, you did. You saw this show before. I'll prove it to you. Watch.
The name of it.
Sleep from the corned beef sandwich. Well,
It was
I missed
called,
the
But you always have me to trade money.
It was called
Benny
Steptoe and Son.
Do you know him?
Yeah, same. The reverse.
Now, this is the crazy thing about this. The show Steptoe and Son, originated in England or Britain, okay? And they brought that show over to the States. But notice what they did. They made them black. Because they couldn't portray a white man as a junk man, poor. Okay?
In the ghetto.
In the ghetto, right.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the games that they play. And that was Norman Lear. Norman Lear was famous for creating a lot of shows like Good Times, The Jeffersons, all of those was his shows. But think about how Good Times portrayed African American people. Right, poor, living in horrible conditions,
Loud,
pimps, thugs, all of this. Right. So the thing is that they control the perception of African American people. Exactly. So